Do you remember this Nick Jonas Super Bowl ad?
This small thing is the next big thing.
Dexcom deleted that ad from its YouTube channel. Our months-long investigation reveals one possible explanation why the G7 isn't actually what Dexcom claims. Again and again, we've heard stories of Dexcom users ending up in the hospital or even dying after the device gave inaccurate readings. The G7 is Dexcom's flagship continuous glucose monitor, or CGM. These wearable devices monitor blood sugar levels and can tell insulin pumps when to give insulin and how much to give. People with diabetes trust CGMs with their lives, literally. Dexcom appears to have betrayed that trust. Our investigation reveals an essential company has lost its way and cut corners to keep alive a growth story that increasingly seems out of reach, jeopardizing the safety of its customers in the process. FDA documents obtained by Hunterbrook reveal Dexcom secretly switched a critical part of the G7, even though Dexcom's own tests showed it made devices less accurate. We spoke to the former senior site director of Dexcom's main domestic production facility, who told us, quote, Dexcom definitely dropped the ball, and, quote, the arrogance of Dexcom is really what needed to be reset. He described a culture where different needle shapes and sensor coatings were assumed to be interchangeable without scientific validation. The human cost has been devastating. Here's what users and their families told Hunterbrook in interviews. A 6-year-old was rushed to the ER when her G7 showed normal readings, but her blood sugar was dangerously high. A pharmacist woke to paramedics in her living room. Her G7 failed to detect a crash so severe, her blood sugar had fallen beneath the lowest limit EMT equipment could detect. A runner's pump dangerously dosed her with insulin because the G7 read 170 when she was actually under 40. One woman was found unresponsive by her roommate and rushed to the hospital. Some G7 users died. We analyzed CGM complaints submitted to the FDA through 2024. Dexcom's G6 and G7 generate 22% more complaints about accuracy than their market share would predict. A comparable CGM from a competitor called Abbott, 68% fewer complaints than expected. A Facebook group for G7 problems has exploded from 3,000 to 58,000 members in just 1 year.
Because we rely on it every second of every day, we know if it's working or not working.
As patients suffered, executives fled. 9 top leaders left Dexcom, including the CEO, VP of Global Operations, and Chief Commercial Officer. No insider has bought stock since 2020. They're only selling. Our forensic accountant and an independent accounting firm found issues in the financials. Dexcom is playing games with its sales, revenue, and other key metrics. Without these tricks, Dexcom would have missed its most recent earnings. The takeaway? Dexcom's financials may be a ticking time bomb. But this isn't a story about money. It's about health, and doctors are starting to notice. Dr. Jonathan Figueroa at NYU told us his patients kept reporting G7 problems this year. When he complained to Dexcom, they claimed they had no idea there were issues. Another endocrinologist who spoke with Hunterbrook felt, quote, gaslit. Jessica Casey, who manages the G7 user Facebook group, needs accurate readings to survive. She told us that, quote, the difference between not hospitalized, hospitalized, and dead are a couple drops of insulin. Facing competition from Abbott and a declining share price, Dexcom appears to have tried to cut costs to save the business. Instead, they destroyed the 2 pillars that made Dexcom valuable: their reputation for quality and the trust of diabetics who depend on them. Now Dexcom faces failing products, fleeing executives, and angry customers organizing online. And the thing about sketchy accounting is, eventually, time runs out. And it's going to happen well before the year 3000. Dexcom did not reply to repeated requests for their side of the story as of this recording. Read the full investigation at hunterbrook.com/Dexcom.